so the obvious choice for resolution would be to use 1440p. However, that only allows me to bump up the bitrate to 50 megabits. On the other hand, if I select 4K, which essentially still records in my native's monitor resolution, so in 4040p in my case, or if you have a 1080p monitor, it would only record in 1080p. But this option allows me to bump up my bitrate all the way to 130 megabits. Note that the maximum available bitrate highly depends on the GPU series that you have, so the older series had a lower maximum bitrate than the newer ones. Also, if you were to select in-game, then you can see that the bitrate also goes up all the way to 130 megabits. However, from my personal testing, the in-game resolution option only produces footage at about 85 megabits. So even if you have a lower resolution monitor, you should absolutely use 4K as resolution to get access to the higher recording bitrate in the GeForce experience. Now, the instant replay length I like to keep at 5 minutes, as when I decrease this to 3 minutes, I would run into corrupted footage when using Shadowplay. So set this to 5 minutes and hit save. Next, click on the Options menu, where you can access all of the other options in the GeForce experience. First of all, under HUD layout, I like to have the status indicator and the FPS counter in the top right hand corner. Keyboard shortcuts I have at default, except for toggle manual recordings on or off, which I've set to pause. Under recordings, you want to make sure that the temporary files location is a really fast hard drive. Don't use a regular old hard drive under this location, but rather use an SSD or even better an NVMe SSD. To live stream my footage, I always use OBS Studio instead of GeForce Experience, as with OBS you simply have more customization options than with the GeForce Experience. So frankly, don't use this to live stream your gameplay. Highlights I turn off, as I usually just manually enable Shadowplay if I want to save the last 5 minutes of gameplay. The photo mode and game filter I generally do not use, so I have this disabled as well. Under audio, it is now finally also possible to separate the voice from the game. In my opinion, this is very convenient, that way I can simply cut out my microphone from gameplay recording. So definitely click on separate both tracks. Under video capture, we have the exact same settings that we've already set up before, so we don't need to change this again. Notifications you absolutely want to turn off in order to avoid getting these annoying notifications on the top right hand corner of your gameplay recordings. And finally, privacy control I have enabled, as sometimes I like to record my desktop, especially when I'm doing tutorials. But obviously this comes down to personal preference if you want to have this enabled or not. Now, something else I wanted to mention is that if you are running into issues with recording Modern Warfare Warzone using the GeForce experience, for example that the blocks of recording are corrupted, then here's a few tips on how to potentially alleviate this issue. First of all, run the display in full screen extended window, and more importantly, make sure to set a custom frame rate limit. Now this is important because we don't want the game to consume too many GPU resources, leaving none left for NVENC to do the encoding. So in my example, I have a 165Hz monitor, so I set the custom frame rate limit to 150. Obviously what you set here highly depends on the PC specifications that you have and the kind of frame rates that you're getting. So if you only get around 130 FPS, then maybe set this to about 110. And finally, I try to reduce the VRAM usage as much as possible by setting texture resolution to normal, shadow map resolution to normal, as well as anti-aliasing to SMMA 1 times. If you want a detailed breakdown of what kind of option reduces your performance by how much, then definitely check out the video linked in the card right now. And that is already all you need to know on how to get the best looking video quality out of your NVIDIA graphics cards. If you're also interested in what the best render settings are for YouTube, then I have good news. I'm currently working on a large project where I'm trying to figure out which bitrate looks best on YouTube for different resolutions. If this video is already done, then I'll have it linked in the card right now. But that's it for today, guys. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, then definitely smash that like button and subscribe for more content like this. But thank you so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.
He's got to move, he's got to move. Nice, well played. Last team in there, 4v4.
There, just play again, kill him.